Roy Moore so far is not facing a criminal investigation regarding the accusations that he was sexually assaulting teenage girls when he was in his 30s. However, there are cases of men in the state of Alabama who have been prosecuted for predatory behavior. And one of those individuals is Joseph Lee Musso, who spent nearly 5 years in prison on the charge of using a computer to attempt to persuade, induce, and entice a child to engage in sexual activity. Now, the individual that Musso was communicating with online was not in fact a 14-year-old, but an undercover cop. And so he planned to meet who he thought was a 14-year-old girl. And then when he showed up, it was an undercover cop, and he faced this criminal charge. Now, in March of 2005, Musso pleaded guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence of 63 months. He served 1 month short of 5 years as a federal inmate. He did what most sex offenders have to do. He registered as a sex offender, and that has had very negative impacts on his life. He's not able to get a job. His record says that his victim was a 14-year-old girl, even though there wasn't really a victim in that case. But nonetheless, I mean, he is a bad guy. His intention was to meet with a 14-year-old girl and have a sexual encounter with her. And so the justice system dealt with that the way that it should. But with Roy Moore, oh, he's a man in a position of power, so who cares? And he's a defiant person who refuses to ever take ownership or ever apologize. And since we live in this society now where apologies are looked upon as weaknesses, we're gonna give Roy Moore a pass.
So, now, let's look at, we just told you about Joseph Lee Musso. Let's look at the full record of Roy Moore real quick. Number one, he admits that he liked to date young girls as young as 16 when he was in his 30s. That part he admits. Everybody in town, the reporters go talk to, say everybody knows that Roy Moore used to go after young girls, at least as young as 16. And he was apparently banned from the local mall because he was such a pervert that he'd go in his 30s trying to hit on teenagers. Okay, that's the part that's not illegal, just it is what it is, okay? Then you have the 16-year-old, and the legal age of consent in Alabama is 16. You have a 16-year-old that he took from a restaurant and said, oh, I'll give you a ride home. It was a cold night, her boyfriend was late. And she had seen him all the time. She knew that he was a district attorney. And he had written in her yearbook, and he seemed like a nice guy, and she trusts him because he's the DA. He takes her to the back, it gets her in the car, takes her to the back of the restaurant where there's no light in between the wall and the dumpster, and he rips her shirt open and gropes her, and then tries to force her head down. The next day, she has bruises all up and down her neck. She starts screaming and screaming, tears streaming down her face. But she fights him off, and at the end, he gets frustrated, and he pushes her and he says, you're a child, and I'm the district attorney. No one will ever believe you. Then he opens the door and pushes her out. She remembers him peeling away as she's lying on the floor in the cold concrete, okay? So that's the story she told recently. That's the one that said she's a proud Republican and voted for Trump, and so did her husband. She has multiple witnesses that she told that story to a long time ago, 2 years after the attack, then 4 years ago to her mom, before she got married to her husband. She has all the corroboration, she has the yearbook. He did it, okay? And that was not consensual. He should be arrested for that, okay? Now, then you have the story of the 14-year-old. Same fact pattern, but way worse than Musso. Because there was a real 14-year-old. He goes up to the mom as she's sitting outside the courthouse. Remember, he's a district attorney. He says, oh, you're gonna go into a custody hearing. I don't want her to hear that. I want to spare her the trauma. And he starts to befriend the young 14-year-old girl when he's in his 30s as a district attorney. And he befriends her, he gets her number, says, I'm going to help. He finally gets her in a car. Don't go in a car with Roy Moore. He gets her in a car, and instead of driving her home, drives to his house 30 minutes into the woods. Then he makes her strip down into her underwear. Then he takes off all of his clothes. And then and it's painful to say, but he got her took her hand and made her touch his erect penis, according to the record, okay? Now that guy, and there is no statute of limitations in Alabama on sexual crimes against underage kids. No statute of limitations. So Musso, for trying to meet with a fictional 14-year-old that didn't exist, spent 5 years in prison.
And he's a registered sex offender.
Why is Roy Moore not immediately arrested? We have an incredibly credible witness. We have several witnesses, including the 14-year-old that said he sexually assaulted me. Running for Senate, why is he not in handcuffs? And this is what drives Americans crazy, rightfully so. There are two different sets of laws in this country, one for the rich and powerful and one for the rest of us. You look at a 14-year-old the wrong way anywhere in the country, you're gonna go to prison, okay? Unless you have power, in which case you might become a United States Senator. And the 16-year-old said that she didn't even tell her sister for 2 years because she was so afraid of what that district attorney might be able to do to her and her family. That's power. And he used that power to molest little girls. And now we're having a conversation about whether he should be a United States Senator. The conversation we should be having is how much time should he spend in prison? Watch the Young Turks commercial free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.